showed why they remain competition hotshots in their match against the hapless Manly outfit. That try set the mood for the rest of the game. 5 superb tries, and they kept the best till last. South's easy winners over Manly, 36 points to 10. Rebecca Wilson, team.
In attack. Luck favoured the Brave, and Coleman couldn't have dreamt of a better result from this kick. South's final try was a gem, typical of their relentless attack and Manly's scrappy defence.
Surely ruined the Seagulls' semi-final hopes. Manly simply couldn't put the ball carrier on the ground and keep him there. Phil Blake goes off and running as the Rabbits, despite the late withdrawal of Ian Roberts, ran riot. Lions finishing off this
opponents. But you still need the cash. Piggins' election yesterday to president of the South's Leagues Club may help him raise the funds needed to preserve his dream.
We've got every Tom, Dick and Harry coming along offering them big money to come over the north side there, and instead of producing their own juniors, they're raiding ours. And this is one of the things, you know, you got to have money to starve off. You know, you can't allow it to happen to you.
Piggins' own loyalty won't allow him to stop there. It's expected he'll continue his move into administration next year and leave the way for his former understudy, Canterbury coach Phil Gould, to return to coach Souths. It seems the Piggins' drive has rubbed off on his players.
It's all based on feeling. You walk in, you can smell the hungriness there. And, you know, I'm still getting their vibes off the player. They're still hungry.
But in the first 20 minutes, not so good for Rabbits. Newcastle raced to a 10-0 lead with 2 tries. The second to Peter Johnson was a real show of strength. But Souths hit back against the run of play. Knights fullback Gary Worth deserved better than this because he played well. Wayne Chisholm capitalises on Worth's error and eventually grounds the ball. A penalty goal made it 10-8 at half-time, and Craig Coleman put Souths ahead in the second half with a lovely pass to send Manoa Thompson in. 12.
Rabbitohs faded before Newcastle forward power, and after Stewart scored early to make it 4-0, he made another charge up the centre 17 minutes later. Fulmer got the ball away to Johnston, and it was 10-0. Just before the break, Wayne Chisholm managed to pounce on a rebound, and Souths trailed by just 2 points. With the chips down, the Rabbitohs were at their best, scoring twice in the second half and sealing the match when Darren Brown was tackled metres out and got a free slide.
Back towards the halfway, Fenech with a half break. About 8 metres into Queensland area.
This time it's Miller. Miller gets it on to Siren and he pops a nice ball up for Des Hasler. Hasler still going, they unload it. There's Mario's got to go. Oh, no, good. There was some good defence though. They're about 8 metres out now. Fenech stumbling around trying to play the ball. Well, the penalty's gone to New South Wales. OK, just about ready to start. I'll come back for those because there's some very interesting figures that you've worked out in that half-time break. But
quietly amongst the players, individually trying to tell them to relax. His main statement was that Queensland is already celebrating, so get in there and get a try when you can. And looks like Mario Fenech's taken at his word. He's just broken through beautifully there.
Yes, it was a good... Here's Fenech now, running it up again. Meeting the defence.
Lives a life of luxury, a self-made mansion overlooking the magnificent Pacific, a far cry from his humble beginnings, a 5-row home in Redfern. For George, the way out wasn't just football. He is a modern-day success story. A nursery and many other business interests mean coaching football is his love, not his bread and butter.
I just feel it's different for me, but, you know, being at South, it's you know, we take our losses and you get depressed like anyone else when you're getting beat, but the thing is, it's something more to me than I just want the joint to succeed and the area to succeed. You know, and it's I kind of G myself up out of that, and I believe the players G themselves up out of that.
Piggins is in his 4th year with the financially stricken Bunnies. Results and his love for the club reject criticism that he may have been there too long.
Well, someone said, Ronnie Curt actually said to me, he said, you know, when I decided I'd do it again this year, he said, I think you're going a year too long. And it was only last night, actually, he said to me, he said, gee, I was wrong, you know. Well, you know, like, I believe this. Look, if I felt that I was the cause of South not going good, I'd automatically step down, let the second grade coach take over. You know, so, you know what I mean? It's a club thing with me. It isn't a personal... There's nothing personal in coaching for me. Like, you know, like it's I just want to see the club succeed, and that's it.
Would George Piggins coach elsewhere?
Well, I'm not a mercenary coach, as I put him. I'm not a coach that goes from club to club. I'm a professional coach, whichever you like to say, you know. But I believe coaches that move around are professional coaches. It's their living and they enjoy it. You know, like, I could probably coach at South Sydney and nowhere else. It's just the way I feel about it. Like, and I think that as long as I've got the motivation, I could stay there, you know, for 10 years and it wouldn't make much difference. But you know, I think professional coaches are going to change around. I definitely do.
As a player, Piggins epitomised the South Sydney spirit. Tough, uncompromising. He was there during the glory days, and now they're back.
If you want to take all the raps for all the good things, and you don't want to take any of the raps for the bad things, well, you know, I think people find those coaches out for themselves, you know.
Wins on the trot show those glory days may be back. Yet many feel the club must go home to Redfern to survive.
Redfern is a tradition that, you know, like everyone really, you know, loves. I love Redfern, but the fact is that it's got to the stage where it's a real pig pen. You know what I mean? There's the dressing room situations, and the oval itself just needs a heap of money being spent on it. You know, and I don't think the New South Wales Rugby League would allow us to come back there unless all this was upgraded. So we've got a bit of a problem there.
With the Bunnies so close to eastern suburbs, there have been constant suggestions of amalgamation. Piggins won't hear of it.
Well, I don't think South Sydney will be amalgamating with East. I think that either we'll be there in our, you know, as we are today, by ourselves, or we'll be out of the competition altogether. But I can't say that at the moment. I think that, you know, as I said, we've been pretty successful over the last few years, and we've got a great history of the, you know, as far as the clubs goes. But you know, we've definitely got to be able to produce more money. We've got to be earning capacity about ourselves if we want to stay in the Sydney competition. You know what I mean? You're going to say, well, right, like last year we lost nearly $300,000. You know, at this stage we're in a lot of debt. You know, if you have 2 or 3 bad seasons back to back, it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be too hard to run up $1 million worth. You know what I mean? Now you get the situation where it's either, if you keep continuing the way you're going to go broke. So your Leeds club isn't turning over enough money to help you, and all of a sudden someone comes in and says, well, right, either they'll sponsor you and they'll pay the money for you, or someone will turn around and say, well, we'll buy. Now that'll probably be up at the New South Wales Rugby League whether they ever decide to let private enterprise into rugby league. But if you listen to the governments and you listen to all those people who talk, you know, they're telling you private enterprise is the way for everyone to go.
Last year, players such as Blake, Coleman and Fenech were targeted by South Sydney's big spending opponents. It's sure to happen again with many young players such as Lyons, Saab and Cruikshank, who have helped lift this team to the top of the premiership, but in true South Sydney spirit, Piggins won't give up easily.
We've got no intention of letting anyone else get in and take any office that we want to keep. You know, like even though we've been broke, we've been able to keep nearly everyone we've wanted to keep over the last 4 years. You know, like even last year when we had that crisis with Fenech, Blake and Coleman, we still were able to keep them. And I think it'll be the same for the future. We'll be able to keep the players we want to keep.
Despite all the success, Piggins shies away from publicity, feeling coaches gain far too much media attention.
I'm getting to the stage now where I'm frightened I'm getting overexposed. You know, like you get 1 or 2, you know, you think, gee whiz, I'm on TV once or twice a week. You know, what's going on? You know, I'm not doing nothing. You know what I mean? The players do it all. And, you know, like I suppose, you know, I don't want to get like some of those other people. Oh, he's this big at a bludger again, you know what I mean? I just don't want to be seen as that way.
Mate, I'm no oil painting, but South Sydney win the competition this year, you're going to be an even higher profile. You think you're having plastic surgery?
Well, mate, I've got by, and my wife hasn't left me after all those years, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, George Piggins. One thing the upper market clubs cannot do is buy spirit, and George Piggins spells that.
Yeah, so does the South Sydney club. Interesting to hear him say that coaches gain far too much publicity. I mean, Steve, there'd be some coaches that just wouldn't get a job in the media or anything if you know, if they could be removed from their publicity, wouldn't they?
No, well, you know, as Steve said, you know, you can play against a side coached by George Piggins, South Sydney. You've got them on the ropes and that, and they never give in. You know, they play for that 80 minutes, so you know that sort of spirit. You know, I can't comment on the coaches and the publicity that people get. So,
well, I just thought that because you had the bloke here on the ropes, you might have liked to deliver a jet-party knockout blow.
I've given it to him enough, John.